triennial. Thank you. Thanks, Sherry. So we're really trying to stimulate interest and participation in the Triennial IPA World Conference 6th to 9th of June next year. So I think that was my hardest thing to say this morning, to get the word triennial out. So as you'll probably have noticed, we're going to take a recording of this morning's webinar. And our intention is to bring together a newsletter compiled of the recording, which we'll put a link to, and we'll do a bit of a transcript around the Q&As that we have this morning. So any questions we're happy to take. We've got an expert panel, so welcome John McKendrick first of all, and Sarah Goldsmith and Anne-Marie Mackin. If there's any questions we can't answer this morning, we will go away and get the answers, and they will be in the newsletter. And there's just another point about the questions. Yes, so we're going to come to the questions after John has spoken. And collate the answer. Sorry, I had another point in my head and it's completely escaped me, so I'll come back to that later. So because we're doing a recording this morning, if people could stay on mute until John's finished speaking, that would be great. If people want to say where they're from or what their interest is before they actually ask their question, that's fine. We'll take in-person questions, but we'll also take questions from the chat. Okay, so if people want to put their question into chat and don't want to come on and say it themselves, maybe you've not got good Wi-Fi connection or whatever, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm not going to delay any further. And we'll maybe start by asking John McKendrick, who is the chair of the practitioner and academic panel for the conference, to give us an outline as to how to make an abstract for the conference. Welcome, John.
Great. Thanks very much, Marguerite. And as Marguerite says, big thanks to you for showing an interest in presenting at the conference, or at least finding out a little bit more about how you can get involved. The IPA conference, the International Play Association Conference, is a big thing. You know, it's a big thing for play globally. And of course, the last iteration, we weren't able to have that in Jaipur. So it's a number of years since the global play community has came together to think about play and to share experiences of play. And it's here in Scotland. I mean, that's a big thing for us in Scotland. It's no accident it's here in Scotland. It's because of the work that you do, the leadership from the IPA Scotland and from Play Scotland. That we do a lot of good practice in play, and I think this is a tremendous opportunity for us to share that good practice with others. And there's real interest from the global play community of learning from Scotland. And if people are going to learn from Scotland, then we've got to hear about what's going on the ground, as well as what's happening strategically in terms of how the government are interested in play. So I mean, Anne-Marie and Sarah and myself then are part of a larger panel, and that larger panel then are there to support people who are interested in presenting at the conference. It's a fairly straightforward procedure to put forward a suggestion. There's an online platform, the web links for that, if you've not already got, we'll provide them for you. But you're basically coming up with a title, you're providing 200 words to describe what it is you'd be interested in talking about, and also saying that the format that you'd like to contribute in. And I think that's really important to emphasise, that there are different ways in which you can take part. There is the straightforward presentation, which is stand up, talk for 20 minutes, and usually about 10 minutes of questions after that. But there's also opportunities for workshops. There's also opportunities for posters. And it might be that you would prefer to present a poster rather than a presentation, or prefer to do a workshop. What you're talking about might lend itself to a workshop. Because the IPA is not a conference, it's just about sitting and listening. It's also about doing and learning through practice. So whatever way you would like to contribute, there'll be a way for you to contribute. And Anne-Marie, Sarah, myself, and the panel's job, as I say, is to help support you in that process. As Marguerite says, it's in early June, 3 days in early June, but there's a lot of planning that has to take place in advance to make these conferences work. So the deadline for submissions is much, much sooner. Now, we are working to a deadline just now of early December, but it's very likely that we'll extend that slightly. I can't say for now because that's a steering group decision, but you'll have a little bit more time than, say, 4 or 5 weeks to get your thoughts together, and we'll confirm that as soon as we possibly can. But what we really want to emphasise is we want to hear from people on the ground that are play practitioners. The conference works because we hear about good practice, we hear about innovative practice, we learn from each other. And if we can support you to make that contribution, then we're doing our job. again, maybe in keeping with the theme of the conference, I certainly don't want to talk to you all morning. I'd much rather answer any questions and queries you've got. I'll emphasise it's an academic and practitioner panel, so we'll do both. There will be the academic presentations will be part of the conference, but it is equally important that we hear from practitioners. So whether your interests are more about talking about play as a general idea or sharing practice in terms of what you do with play, you know, we need you at the conference. And we'd emphasise that.
Connor's got himself a wee bit upset.
That's a good point for me to end. If that's okay, Marguerite, I'll throw it open to answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you very much, John. That's super. So yes, let's just start with the questions. And just to stress what John is saying is we're looking at a wide range of participation, not just the traditional research. That's really important to us. Obviously, we need the peer-reviewed research or the research in play, almost as it were, because that's what a lot of us base a lot of the policy lobbying on. But we really want to evidence good practice, innovative practice. We actually want to evidence things that haven't worked. You know, we really need to get across a whole range of things here, and we really want to showcase really just how important play is and the role that play can make in improving society, not just for our children and young people, but for everyone. So I'm going to stop leathering at that point and take any questions. I don't see any in the chat. Simon, I don't know if that was your hand up. Yes, was it? Was that Simon putting his hand?
I just put my hand up there. Sorry. No, it was more of a question, not so much about presenting, but as I understand it, the conference is organised in a way where the last day is going to be an opportunity to do visits to good practice. So it was really me trying to kind of put my hat in the ring to take people who were interested to see an Opal school. Sorry, I'm the Opal outdoor play and learning mentor employed by Play Scotland for the all schools in Scotland. So I'm delivering this kind of this program to change the non-curricular play experience of children in primary schools. So we'll have a number of primary schools who are radically changing their play offer, and they'll be much further down the track by June. So there's an opportunity there for people that are interested to come and see, and it's how to put in a proposal for that.
Yeah, I'll maybe come back in that then. I mean, we wouldn't look at that as academic practitioner panel, Simon. We'll take that straight to the steering group. And you know, the steering group are interested. So I should explain. Sorry, there are a number of different panels that are putting together to organise different aspects of the conference. The academic and practitioner panel, as you pointed out, Simon, that's helping people contribute by submitting a suggestion for a paper. But we very much want this to be participative and to see examples of practice as well as hear about examples of good practice. And as Simon points out, that last day is about visits. And that's a very generous offer, Simon. And you know, already, if we're thinking about some of the abstracts we've had already, there's a few coming in with the theme of learning. So that's certainly a topic that would be of interest to the practitioners and academics from afar that are coming to the conference. So I will absolutely take that back to the steering group, Simon, and get somebody to get back in touch with you about that. Ideal.
Thank you. Mohammed, I think, did you have your hand up? I see it's not up just now. Did you want to come in?
Hi, good morning. Yes, I did. I am a assistant head teacher in the primary school in London, and we were actually going to be launching Opal in our school. So we sort of trialed it out, like Simon said, play. So I came across your conference as soon as it said something to do with play. I was very much interested in. I just wanted to know, is there a link between Opal and you know, the play that you're sort of discussing at the moment? And also Simon has spoken about a visit to schools or you know, a model school possibly. I would be very much interested if there's any sort of further information that I can receive that, because we're hoping to launch it in January. We've kind of sort of trialed out some Opal play for the children, and it has been absolutely amazing so far. So I would love to hear anything around that, please, John, if possible.
Sure. I mean, I said to Simon Moore that there's really going to be a strong learning theme in the role of play and learning, and it'd be great if that's not just curricular learning. You know, play as an instrumental tool to support curricular learning, but more broadly what play can contribute to a young person's life, both in non-curricular play in schools, the Opal ideas, and of course beyond. So it's going to be a really strong theme through the conference. And you know, even just hearing from yourself and Simon this morning, and I guess that would be an ideal example of a field visit on that final day. to pick up on that. Yeah, what will certainly will happen was once all the abstracts are in, once we've extended that closing date and we've drafted the programme, the full programme will be available to everybody well in advance of the conference, so that we know the themes that are going to be discussed and the days are going to be discussed on. And what one of our jobs is as a panel is to try and make sure that we kind of read the minds of the people that are taking part, so that you're able to see more or talk about or visit and join in more of the activities and listen to more of the papers that are of your interest. So the learning papers are probably going to be scheduled in a way that if you're interested in learning, then you don't have to choose between 2 learning papers at the same time, but we'll schedule them in a way that you can cover them all over the course of the conference as far as we possibly can. So I hope that reassures you more. But if you were able to even come up and present, or even another thing to mention as well is that conferences are not just about participation in terms of giving a paper or giving a poster, but getting up there and being part of the audience is really important, and sharing your experiences as well. So very much hope more that you'd be able to take part, and I hope that that we can maybe finalise what Simon suggested and get that as part of the programme on the final day too.
Great. And Mohammed, if maybe you and Simon could connect outside of this, is that all right? If you want to even direct message each other an email address there. I think it'd be quite nice to connect, because yes, I think the Opal offer is one of the offers that's going on in Scotland alongside play pedagogy in the curriculum, and community play and school playgrounds out of school hours. There's lots of things going on around this, so please get in touch. And really I know we're running this in Scotland today, but we really are encouraging abstracts from across the world, but also across the UK, because we have lots of partners and sister organisations across the UK. So we'd really welcome, Mohammed, you getting in touch, and Simon getting together there.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Because I know that Play England would like to be involved as well in the conference, and we can maybe help link you in with Play England as well. Okay, Marion Burns has a very interesting question. John, I'm going to ask you to answer this. I do know the answer, but I'll let you answer.
Nice and straightforward, Marion. No, you don't have to pay a fee before you submit an abstract. I mean, the expectation, of course, is those that are submitting abstracts will be coming to the conference and therefore will pay their fee, but you don't have to pay to the point of submitting an abstract. We can completely understand that their deadlines will be well before everybody's able to pay for that. There is an early bird rate for the conference, and that's to help the conference organisers with planning. That if you are able to pay earlier, there's a slightly lower rate for your registration fees. But absolutely, Marion, you don't have to pay your fee when you submit an abstract.
I suppose it's fair to say that that we always would like people to really use the early bird as much as possible to try and give us an indication of interest, and to help the practitioner and academic panel shape the programme, because we're in this catch-22. I know all of you on the call who have run big conferences, even small conferences, you rely on the programme to attract the interest, but in a way we can't put the programme together to get the interest. So it's a double-edged sword for us at the moment. So that's why we really would welcome people putting in the abstracts as early as possible. And then, as John said, yes, we do have this early bird rate. Hopefully it might get a bit of an extension. I think at the moment it's running till the 5th of December, which I know is tight for people, but please, please, please get the abstracts in, or the ideas in. Even if it's not a fully worked up idea at this stage, John's panel will be receiving lots of things, and they might be able to marry up a couple of things together. So there can be things going on to try and support. I don't want to oversay that because I'm not on that panel, but please just try and get the ideas and the thoughts and the best abstract you can put together at the moment in as early as possible. And that gives us all a bit of time what we can do.
Just add that, just have the confidence. I mean, some of you might not have been part of presented at a big conference beforehand, but it won't feel uncomfortable. You'll be with kindred spirits. I mean, it's all play practitioners. It's all people that are interested in play. You'll have as much expertise as anybody else in the room. And I know the people that are involved in organising it very much are having a participative conference and a welcoming conference. It's what IPA always is. This won't be any different. So just have confidence that we want to hear from you, and the others will want to hear from you too. Another question for Marion, to remind you the date for submission. So just now, Marion, it's sitting at the 5th of December, but it's very likely that we're going to push that back, and we'll probably confirm that next week what the date will be. The reason for that, Marion, is that the organising committee have spent a lot of time getting the the background stuff sorted in the conference, and we actually haven't turned our attention to promoting it properly and encouraging abstracts such as this session today. So it's not fair to ask people to turn that around in a very short period. So we're probably going, well, no, we are going to extend it. We'll have to make a decision how far back we extend that. So just now it's the 5th of December, Marion, but if that's too tight for you, don't worry, because we'll be putting it back a little further.
I know, because I know people would just love to spend their Christmas holidays working on their abstract.
Well, yeah.
But it's a good thing to do. Do you know, I mean, we've gone for before Christmas, but I mean, I'm not on that panel, but if the decision goes to go beyond Christmas, I think that's good, because it's a busy time on every front: work, home life, things going on in community, and things going on in provision. So we'll see what happens. So do look out for that, and we'll communicate that widely to everyone who's expressed interest on this webinar and far beyond. But no, please still think of your idea, get your bullet points down, because you know the year is racing in, and as we know, it'll be June before we know it. I'm looking forward to not being the winter time, but I'm almost panicking at how quickly June is starting to feel to us all now. Do I see another question in there? Marion, great. Asking about
Marion asking more than one. So what happens here, Marion, is we've had 2 people that have already submitted more than one abstract. As I say, it's a supportive process, and the both people that have supported an abstract, we've said that absolutely would love you to take part, but we don't commit at the point of submission of saying yes to all your papers. If, for example, we have very many people participating, then it's a bit unfair to have somebody presenting twice and somebody else not able to present at all. So what we do if there's more than one is we accept the individual papers, but and I, write to the person submitting more than one to say, we will contact you once the closing date is finished if we've drafted the programme, if we're able to accommodate more than one paper. We very much would like to, and if we're able to, we will. But as I say, our kind of priority is ensuring the breadth of participation in the first instance. So what I'd say just now, Marion, is get more than one abstract in if you're interested. And then if it gets to the stage where we're not able to accept both of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them, or 5 of them, or how many you put in, we'll contact you and we'll ask you what your preferences are at that point.
Super, thanks, John. And Maria, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, as I'm on the panel very much from the practitioner side of things, and I'm very happy, if it's appropriate, to give a little bit of help to practitioners who aren't massively confident. I've done 2 IPA conference abstracts, one for Wales in 2011 and one for Canada in, I think that was 2017 or 8. So I have been on that side of it, and it's only 200 words. So I am happy to just where there is that little bit of lack of confidence in, is this right? Because, as it's already been said, we want a vibrant conference with lots of practitioner input. There is the academic side of it, but I'm working out of school care primarily, and I'm just so aware of some of the fantastic work that's going on that I hope will be showcased. And so from that point of view, I'd be happy to have a little look when if people are just a little bit doubtful, as long as that's okay with John as the chair of the group.
Very, very generous of Anne-Marie, and strongly welcomed. It's a wonderful offer to everybody out there if anybody's not at all sure. And that's what we're trying to do as a panel. We're trying to be supportive and encouraging, and delighted to hear that Anne-Marie's able to do that. It's not a surprise because we know Anne-Marie's very helpful, but delighted with that. So.
I know, thank you very much, Anne-Marie. And I think Sarah and I had an interesting experience this week at a conference, and something happened to Sarah, and I'm just going to say this, I was so impressed at what she did. I don't think she did it deliberately to be playful, but she dropped the thing that you press to make the slides go on, and when she dropped it, the battery came out of it as well. Now, that's enough to put any of us off, ever wanting to put our name forward again. Cool as a cucumber, told people to talk among themselves, scrabbled about to find the battery, put it in, went back. So I think what I learned from that, it was absolutely seamless. It was wonderful, Sarah. I hope you don't mind me disclosing that, because I think, 350 teachers in the room, it was quite a pressurized atmosphere. I think what Play Scotland will do near the time as well, for people who have been asked or, have come through the abstract process, that we will do dry runs with people. We will do webinars or we hire a hall somewhere in Glasgow and we get people to come. People want to run through it in advance and practice it. That's fine, because you don't get to be as cool as Sarah without that experience sometimes. So if you've never done it before, we'll try and do a mock-up for you in advance and ask people to come, because it's a learning process for all of us. And, you know, things go wrong because things can go wrong. It's just breathing deeply and carrying on. But if people want to have a dry run, we'll be hopefully doing something like that in advance of the conference, probably round about May time next year.
And just Marguerite, Marian's come in with another question in the chat there about that idea of multiple submissions. The point being that an education authority with a number of different initiatives going on that cover research and practice. Again, very much Marian would be looking to try and get all of the presentations in there. Nobody puts in two abstracts in the same team. They're always different issues there, and we really want to try and include that as much as we can. And certainly, if for example, there's different presenters that are from a same education authority, that's not a problem whatsoever. You know, we would be counting them as very much separate separate counts, if you like, rather than you know, deciding between which of the presentations from the education authority go forward. But don't worry about that just now. I think it's just, if you're interested in getting involved in the conference, putting the abstract in, and you know, those decisions and those decisions that we have to make will come at a later stage.
That's great. Thanks, John. Are there any other questions? I'm not seeing any more hands up.
We did say that you can email in, didn't we? I'm very happy to do that over the course of that.
Yes.
You know what it's always like. Sometimes when you're sitting there listening, the question doesn't come to you at the time, but you know, we're very happy to take those questions by email over the next few days. We'll collate it all together and then send out the responses to everybody at the end of next week or the start of the following week.
I mean, I feel it's such a good opportunity for lots of young practitioners to present at an international conference. You know, quite often some of the hands-on practitioners are the people that never get to go to anything. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the manager further up goes or whatever. So this is the opportunity for the people that do make the difference on the ground, not those of us that lobby at a higher level or work in a management role, to actually talk through their experiences. And these are the people that might need the most support. So we really do want to encourage them, and whatever any of us can do, whether it's the National Play Organisation or your own local authority, to try and bring these authentic voices through to talk through what works, what doesn't. You know, I know we all want to look at what is really good practice, but the only way we learn what is good practice is also by learning from what hasn't worked. So if someone's put a lot of time and effort into a project that hasn't worked, that can be just as important as well. So please just, you know, think of this as a really big picture of how we can really inform good practice across the world. And there's a lot of people looking to Scotland now to see, how did we get to where we are and what happens next? Once you've maybe got good policy, how do you actually implement it? And I feel in Scotland that we've got good policy, we've got great practitioners and provision, but the implementation now is the biggest challenge to all of us. Lucy, I see your hand up.
Yes, I have a question about the theme of the conference. And I think the theme of the conference is rights and possibilities. Do submissions have to be related to that in some way, or are you looking for more of a broad platform?
It's a really good question, Lucia. Conferences always have a theme. You know, it's almost, you know, an obligation to have an overarching theme. We've got that overarching theme, but we've also identified 5 sub-themes, such as, you know, optimising development, which goes back to Mohammed's point about, you know, the role of it within schools, formally or informally, realisations of children's rights. You know, we've got a number of sub-themes. But even beyond those sub-themes and beyond the headline of the conference, whatever you're doing in play, there is a place for it at IPA. Yes, we might be, you know, focusing more on some themes than others, but we want to hear about everything that is relevant to play and everything that's going on with play. And kind of linked in with that point as well, Lucy, is, you know, it is absolutely about sharing practice and learning from each other. But we're also hearing from some of the leading thinkers in the world here about play. So as well as you giving, there's an opportunity for you really to, you know, be enthused and to learn, or, you know, have your enthusiasm reinforced by listening to really significant players in the global play community, you know, from beyond the UK, not just here in the UK. So, and they won't just be sticking to the 5 conference themes or the overarching theme that's there, Lucy. So whatever your contribution is, there'll be a place for you in the conference. And it's our job as a panel then to put together a programme that brings together the papers with a similar interests. But, you know, we're able to do that. We're able to see the connections. You just give us the material to work with, and we'll find you a place.
Anne-Marie, that's a good point. Anne-Marie's saying about looking at the conference website. Lucy, could you drop a link into the website onto the chat box?
Yes, I can do.
There's things being added to it all the time. So even if you just made a wee mental note or electronic checklist that maybe on a Friday morning check what's been added. Rachel has been adding various pages to it as we go on. So it's worth just catching up on it, maybe spend 5 minutes on a Friday morning or a Saturday morning or whatever, just add that to your list of things that you check on, because there's lots of pages going on and links and information. It's really being updated almost weekly at this stage. So
just to come back to Lucy's point and following on from Marguerite there, you know, even if it seems as if other people are contributing in your area, that doesn't mean that you can. You know, it's really good to get multiple perspectives in the same issue. So don't be dissuaded if you think, oh, that's covered already, I've got nothing to contribute. Far from it, it can make for a very good debate. And again, the complete opposite side of the spectrum, if your work has not been contributing, then that's something additional that we can offer to the conference as well. Remember, it's a global play community together, but we've got a wide range of interests in play. So we will make sure that we put together a programme that delivers for everyone. And whether it's a topic that's well covered or a topic that's not at all covered, it doesn't matter. If you've got something to say, we'd love to hear it.
And I think the timing couldn't be better. Do you know, when you think about the fact that, you know, I think the workforce is feeling quite overwhelmed at the moment and lots going on. And I think this can be like a Commonwealth Games or Olympics, you know, for play. I think it will uplift a lot of us and reinforce, as John says, that the job we do is really important. It makes a huge difference. And I just think that sometimes that connection, that networking is worth so much. You can't buy it, you know, money can't buy it. And I know we're asking people to pay to come to the conference, but we try to keep that cost as low as possible. And there's various options for that, but obviously the early bird rate would be the best one. But there will be some bursaries as well. So there'll be lots of information about things like this coming out. So do follow the website and see what's happening, and we'll keep that updated, as I say, almost weekly at this stage. So just couldn't encourage everybody enough to try and spread the word among your workforce, among your colleagues. And hold on. Oh yes, there's Sarah putting in more social media for all these young ones. But no, social media is really good and has really started to take off. So whatever your preferred social media way of following is, please go on to that. And we'll keep links going on all these channels as well to make it as easy for you to get in touch with us. Is there any other questions? I'm working off so many different screens here. There's two.
Let's just put up the info at playscotland.org. If any other questions come in after the webinar, you know, please don't hesitate to ask a question. No such thing as a daft question. No, absolutely not. No, we've never run an international play conference on this scale in Scotland before, so it's new to all of us. So as John says, there's no such thing, and maybe your question is something we haven't thought of, so please feel encouraged to do that. I know, Sarah, you've been sitting waiting to take a question. No one's completely direct about it. Is there anything you would like to add? Because I know you're heavily involved in some of the panels here as well.
Yeah, so I think it's just about, as we've been saying, having that confidence to be able to present what you're doing. Everyone's got some really good work and stuff that's coming through, so be confident to put some ideas through. And as everyone has said, we're all there to help you. We want this conference to be really exciting, and we want to showcase Scotland. So we want to see what's going on, and we're all happy to help and support everybody. So, but it's also a great time to, as Marguerite was saying, about networking. So there's going to be so many people there to find out what other people are doing, both in the UK and wider in the world. And you know, I've been to a couple of the conferences, and you make some great friends, and it'll be really good to see old friends and make new ones as well. So it's a great opportunity for everything, all of that sort of thing to happen. And it's a really playful conference. It's not one that's, there's lots of other things going on as well. So it's not just all the presentations and everything. There's lots of other play things going on. So come along, it's going to be great. We want to see you.
Thanks, Sarah, that's brilliant. Okay, thank you, Lucy, for putting that in the chat. If anyone has any questions, or if you're speaking to colleagues or friends, and they come up with anything, if they send the questions to info@Play Scotland, we will be passing those straight to the expert panel here of John, Sarah and Anne-Marie. We'll get the answers back, and we'll compile a newsletter to go out next Friday with a link to the recording here. So plenty of time to get back to us over the weekend and ask us any questions at all. But go and have a wee peek at the website, follow us on social media, and get involved, and encourage everybody around you to get involved as well if you can. So that's